Hi, welcome to new tutorial about accessibility testing tool Wave. We will cover all the important parts like what is it, how it works, how can it be used, explanation of its UI and functionalities, and some fun facts at the end. Let's begin. Let's first remember what is accessibility testing. That is already covered in our previous video about accessibility testing. Well, it is surely one of the software testing types. But for what purpose? For checking that application is usable by people with disabilities, like hearing disability, color blindness, and etc. What is WAVE? WAVE is a suite of evaluation tools that helps authors make their web content more accessible to individuals with disabilities. WAVE can identify many accessibility and web content accessibility guideline errors, which we also mentioned in the accessibility testing video, but also makes our life easier when we have to evaluate some web content on our own. The thing is that WAVE cannot tell you if your web content is accessible. Only a human can determine the true accessibility of a web page. But it doesn't really serve just to show us the potential issues that can be accessibility issues. It also serves for education about the web accessibility, which you will see in the coming minutes while explaining on some live web page examples. How can we actually use the Wave? The first way of using it is to go on this web page and we can insert here the URL of the page we want to test. We just insert it and press enter. And here we get the Wave tool on the left side, and on the right side we have the web page that we want to test. And the other way is to take the extension. How can we do the installation of the extension, which goes directly into browser? So here we have extensions for Chrome and for Firefox. We will use Chrome, so we will take that extension. Okay, so we're on this page and we just have to click Add on Chrome and Add Extension. And the next thing we have to do is just to go on the web page we want to test, go this extensions icon and just activate it by clicking it, and you can also pin it to have it here in the list of the extensions that you can access it right away. I'm just gonna take this action by clicking it. And we activated it and added in our extension in our browser. This is a better way because we load the page directly, not inside of the Wave web page. So in this case, the Wave tool can also detect elements that are being loaded when the page loads itself, so in runtime. How it works, that's the first question we're going to answer. It works on this next way. It highlights the accessibility issues by using the inline icons next to the issue, and all of that is also listed in the left sidebar. Let's just give some ground rules, some ground facts. If we don't find any errors here, so it doesn't mean that your page is accessible or compliant. The red icons indicate accessibility errors that need to be fixed. Green icons indicate accessibility features, things that probably improve accessibility. And the other icons and indicators, for example, yellow alert icons, highlight other elements that you should look at. Now we're going to go one by one tab and explain what is inside of each one. So we have summary here. We have all listed potential issues that are grouped by categories. We have 6 categories of issues. First one is error. What can we find inside of this group? There can be issues that would impact certain users and issues that are according to WCAG standard, as we already mentioned in the accessibility testing video. Now, contrast errors, that says for itself, of course. Those are issues, potential issues again, that are found according to the same standard for the color contrast. Then we have these yellow alerts. There we will find out which elements on the page could cause some accessibility issues, and it's up to our judgment when we see those alerts which one we will take into consideration for fixing. That doesn't count just for these alerts. It counts for features, for everything else that we see. This is, as we already said, it doesn't really says, okay, these are all your issues and you must fix them. It just presents it to you, and then you have to decide which of these are you going to fix and which not. The next one is features. Those are potential source of issues if not implemented correctly. So if some feature is not implemented correctly, it can be a source of issues. So if some feature is marked there, you should investigate, is there anything that can be improved for the accessibility? Then we have structural elements. As the tab name itself says, it lists all the elements of the page here. So like navigation, header, footer, headlines, and stuff like that, that are really important for the screen readers. And the last one, ARIA, it shows information about the page elements that are important for screen readers and other tools that are used by people with disabilities. Now, there's some kind of a connection between these tabs. So here we have summary, like everything you got listed. You have how many errors do you have, how many contrast errors, so the number of errors per category. And then we can click here to see the details, or you can just click on the next tab. Now, Details tab shows what its name says, the details of the summary. Here we have just how many of them do we have it, and here we have all of them listed. And not just that, we have them grouped by some more criteria. And what each has, we have the icon, and we have this little like information button where we can see more details, like more information about the error. You have what is it, what kind of group does it belong to, what it means, why does it really matter, and how to actually fix it. You can do it like that, or you can click like on the specific issue that you found, and you click on it. When you click this, just take a look at this. It blinks on your page so you can easily find it. Then you click on it, and you can see the reference here also. It will again lead you to this tab for the concrete issue that you have found, actually what Wave has suggested to be a potential issue. And of course, we have here the icon instead of this reference tab. We have the icon index where we can see all the icons that are used in these details section. Because you see, like for this errors, here we have two types of, not just two, we have three types of icons here. This is one, this is two, and maybe this is three. I cannot see now really clearly because um, I have seen before that there's this icon with the white color inside and with the black color inside. That is the difference. Yeah, that is exactly the difference. Yeah, so we have two different icons in here just for this one. But here we can see all of these that are related to errors. We have much more of them than two. And for the each category, we have them listed. And for each of one, you can click on them and to see what does it mean, why it matters, and so on. So, Structure tab is the next one. It displays the structure of the page. So again, includes navigation, header, footer, um, headlines, even hidden elements, nested elements. So the complete structure of the page you can see from the top to the bottom. So from header to footer. And here we can see, we have, of course, we have already mentioned them in here. Actually in here, like structural elements, and we can see them listed here. But here, as I said, are just listed. How many do we have? We have 7 heading of level 2, 4 of level 3, and stuff like that. So we have just listed and how many of each of them do we have. But here we have all of them just in the structure. So we can see first goes the navigation, then the header, then this one, then this one, and stuff like that. And here, so you can see that each of these H4, where are they in this page structure? So for this structure, we can see, for example, here that it has a double navigation. In many cases, because all of these icons, inline icons, can make a mess on your page, you won't see all the elements. But what you can do, you can turn off the styles that are generated with CSS, and then you can see all the elements on your page. So I just wanted to do this to show you this double navigation that is done, and let's just inspect them. Whenever you click on the issue or structural element or whatever, you have this reference, as we already showed, and this code part. When we click on this code, it will open up a code where that element is present. So we have here navigation with double one. You can see the first one and then the other one up under it. Those are the two navigations, and they have the same ID, and they're doubled. They don't serve for nothing. That's probably an issue that should be resolved. So you have the double navigation that does nothing. That's one of the examples. Then you can go through this structure. Like, okay, let's for example, I don't know, enter this one. See the reference. Why is it important to take a look and analyze this structure? What it means. Headings facilitate page navigation for users of assistive technologies. They also provide semantic and visual meaning and structure to the document. Of course, you can just imagine that any page that has like a little bit of small headings and the large headings and everything just in the mess instead of having something like this. So not to skip the levels of the headlines, like H2, then H3, then H4, and not like H2 or for example H1, which is the biggest, and then H5. That would look really really ugly and not accessible for the people that have vision issues. And the last tab, contrast. It identifies text, but remember, text, just text, that does not meet WCAG level AA contrast requirement, which is at least 4.5 to 1. And we have another contrast requirement that is 3 to 1 for the large text. So we have for the normal text and for the large text. And here we have the following elements of this contrast tab, which we can analyze. So we have like foreground color, which represents the color of the text, and background color is, of course, the background color. Then we have the contrast ratio, where we can see that and check does it comply with these standards that we just mentioned, 4.5 to 1 and 3 to 1. And we can see the text size of the element that we're inspecting. Is it normal or large? And we have these AA and AAA to see if that passes or fails according to the ratio that is displayed here. And of course, before I continue in this tab, I want to just note that we cannot, with this wave tool, we cannot detect all contrast issues. It cannot, for example, test images with text, elements with transparency or background gradients. It can just take a look and inspect at these texts that are just on the basic background, so no picture behind it or stuff like that. What we can do is, for example, let's click on some. This one. This is okay. So you can imagine now when I'm recording this video, I'm leaning towards the computer screen because I cannot read it clearly. So it's not really accessible even for me because it has a low, very low contrast, so I cannot read it clearly. What it says, very low contrast between text and background color. And here we have, you can see it's a yellow text. And here we have it. We have exactly which shade of yellow is it, and the background color. Which one is it? White, of course. Let's see the reference. What does it mean? Very low contrast between text and background colors. Adequate contrast of text is necessary for all users. Just like I said, I had problem to read it, especially users with low vision. Imagine just for them how much would be hard to read. How to fix it? Here's a tip. Increase the contrast between the foreground, which means text color, and the background color. And we have one more tip that you don't have to have that much of a contrast for the larger text, but for the smaller you have to have a really really good contrast. So what we can do to, okay, for example, we're now testers, we're doing this accessibility testing, and we found out that this doesn't have a good ratio, the good contrast. So we're gonna try to make the ratio. So first, what we should detect is which one is a type of the text. It is large, which means what? As we already mentioned, we have to apply the rule requirement 3 to 1. So it would be okay. So I'm gonna try now randomly to, I don't know, to make this 3 to 1. It's almost there. But this should also be working because it has to be at least 3 to 1. This is more than 3 to 1, and we are looking at this section because we have the large text, and we can see that the AA test passed. Okay, and then we can take these exactly shades of these colors and say to our team, okay, if that's the way your team works, okay, I have found the accessibility issue. We have to change the contrast. This is one of the suggestions for the improvement. Of course, it all has to be approved by the design team, by the client, and stuff like that. But that's not the subject right now. So, and for example, if it would be some smaller text, then we would again try to move this ratio and see if it passes the test. Okay, now we finished with all tabs, but now we're just gonna go back for a while to see instead of these details, just to click on few these issues that our wave found. If you want to close this, just click on Code. For example, we have here a linked image missing alternative text, or empty link. This is really, really important stuff for for example, screen readers. Missing alternative text, it points us to this element, and what it says, it is missing alternative text, and it results in an empty link. We can click on Code, and we can see that this image has no alternative text. It's empty. And for the reference, what it means, we always have this explanation here, what it means. And why it matters, as we said, images that they are only thing within a link must have descriptive alternative text. If it contains no text and that image does not provide alternative text, screen reader has no content to present to user regarding of the function to the link. It's useless for the people who are using, for example, screen recorder, because screen recorder has nothing to take and to use to help the people with disabilities to have some kind of information about that that element on the page. Okay, empty link, another example, contains no code. You can see this is a tag for the link, and we have no text inside of it. It's the start and ending of this HTML tag, and we have no text inside of it. It's useless for the screen reader. Okay, this is one. Contrast errors, we have already seen them in this section. We don't have to repeat ourselves. For example, alerts. This is the thing that I already mentioned in this structure part. Skipped heading level. So let's see what it tells. Heading level is skipped. Let's see. So we have H4, and before it, if we scroll up, we had H2. So H3 is skipped. And why is it important? Because they provide document structure and they help keyboard navigation by users of assistive technology. They can be confused or experience difficulty navigating when heading levels are skipped. Okay, features. For example, language. So here is stated that language is present, for example. Okay, we click on the icon and it says the language of the document or page element is identified, and that is really, really important because it allows screen readers to read the content appropriately. So again, as we said, it doesn't really just list out the issues, it lists out, in this case, the potential features, if implemented correctly, which in this case is true, can really improve the accessibility of the web page. And we already mentioned the structural elements, so they're just listed. Okay, guys. I think that will be all. But before we end, we just wanna mention a fun fact that this tool, Wave itself, uses the category icons that we can see that can be used by the people with disabilities. And it is designed to be accessible with keyboard and for screen reader usage. How convenient, right? The tool for testing the accessibility issues are also designed to be used by the people with disabilities. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you for watching. If you like, share and subscribe, and see you very soon in the next video. Goodbye.